Diagnosing and repairing power cord failure. As you can see, we don't have any kind of lights on the display for our freezer. This means that the display is not receiving power. This could be a bad power cord. First, we'll unplug the unit, just so that way it's safe. Next, we'll inspect the exposed part of the power cord, starting with the plug. We'll make sure that there's no burns or broken prongs on the plug head. And then we'll just do a quick inspection of the entire outside of the cord. Here we're looking for cuts, exposed wires, anything in the nature that seems like it might be out of sorts. Since we don't have any obvious damage on the outside of the power cord, let's check the part we can't see. We're going to use a small screwdriver like this one here to remove the compressor cover. There are 3 pins located at the top of the compressor cover. By pressing them down, we can free the cover out of our way. Next, we're going to use a Phillips head to take off the back cover. I have a small bit driver, but you can use a standard Phillips head screwdriver as well. Remove this by taking the 2 screws out of the bottom of the cover. Once the screws are removed, pull out on the bottom of the cover and then gently pull down. Now that our covers are removed, let's disconnect our power cord. Located on the side of the freezer here, on the right hand side of the compartment, is the Molex adapter. Free it by lifting up on it, which will take this clip out of its slot. Once it's out, we're going to disconnect the power cord. That's the one located right here with the white, black, and green wires. Depress the pin on the clip and slide it free from the Molex adapter. Upon inspection, you see we have a burned wire. Since we've discovered that the power cord is the cause of our problems, let's remove it. To do that, we'll have to remove the power cord retainer, which is this white plug right here. On it, it has 2 sets of clips, one on either side. These are what we have to depress to move the power cord. Start by freeing one side by pressing down with the thumb and pushing it out. Once you're done, half of it should be out and half of it should still be secured in place. Once both sides are depressed and the retainers come most of the way out, simply pull on the cord until it comes free. Once this is done, the Molex plug's a little too big for the hole, so feed your clip through first and then allow the rest to simply drop out. Taking a closer look, you can see this power cord was definitely in need of being replaced. The wire is burned in half and it's actually scorched the other wire next to it. We'll be recycling our power cord retainer, so hold on to it because we're going to need to put it on our new cord. Go down your power cord about 6 to 8 inches. Then press it into place. We're going to use our needle nose pliers to clamp this into place inside the retainer. First, we start by pressing it through the dog ears. Next, we fold the retainer over so that it makes a circle, and on the open side, we depress just behind the lip of the retainer. place one hand inside the compressor compartment and help feed the head of the Molex clip through. Start the retainer in the hole, push in, and pull your pliers out. Now that our power cord is installed in the back of the freezer, it's time to connect it to our Molex adapter. We're going to install it on the opposite side of the Molex, directly across from the wiring harness for our thermostat. Once the power cord is installed, we can then place our Molex adapter back into its original place. Next, we're going to plug our freezer back in to return it to service. Now that power is restored, after a 2-minute delay, our compressor should start. If no problems existed with our power cord, the next thing we check is for a capacitor failure. Again, we remove the freezer from service, so that way it's safe. Next, we have to locate our capacitor. On the EL-11 and Countertop models, it's located on the back side of the compressor, right here. In order to remove it, we'll have to expose the starting components of the compressor by removing the component cover located here. This is done by depressing the pins on either side with a hook-shaped pick, like mine. The pins are located on either side of the component cover here. To take a closer look, here's one that's been removed. As you can see, we have two little dog ears on the inside of this that have an impression on them. This is what locks it into place. If you don't have a pick like me, you can insert a flathead screwdriver through the slots on either side and press inward. This will also remove the component cover. Now we can get to it. As you can see, I'm going to use my hook pick to depress the two dog ears on either side. I start with the one closest to me, and then placing my hand in the compressor compartment, I can put my pick on the back side and press the other one. Once that's done, the cover just slides off. This part is called the relay. Be sure to check it for burns, as it could be the problem as well. With our cover removed, it's now time to remove our capacitor. In order to do this, we're first going to have to remove the wiring. Using a pair of needle nose pliers, we're going to pull out the two spades that connect to the relay. The capacitor will be the two black wires located on the right side of the relay. Now that the wires are disconnected, we have to remove the wire retainer. To do this, simply grab it, wiggle it, and pull up. Once it comes free, you'll be left with this. Next, we have to remove the capacitor strap. The capacitor strap is what holds the capacitor in place. To remove it, you simply just pull up on the end of it with a pick, screwdriver, or even your finger. Once the capacitor drops out, we can just take it right out of the freezer. Now that our capacitor is removed, let's inspect it. The EL-11 and Countertop models use a 240 microfarad capacitor, as you can see printed here on the information. To visually inspect your capacitor, you're going to look at the bottom where the wires go in. As you can see, this one has a white chalky discharge. That definitely means that it's bad. There may also be a brown discharge that looks like honey and will be wet, this also means that the capacitor has failed. Another way you can test it is to use a capacitor tester if you have one. To use this tool, simply attach the alligator clips to the two spades located on the end of the capacitor. Don't let them touch. Once it's connected, you can press the button. As you can see here, this capacitor is without a doubt bad. Now it's time to replace our capacitor. We're going to start by taking our new capacitor and installing it back into the capacitor strap. The easiest way to do this is to pull the capacitor strap open and insert the top of the capacitor through the bottom of the strap. Once it's in place, pull on the strap until it clicks into place. Now our capacitor is secure. Next, we're going to bring our wires up into the relay. The shorter wire on our capacitor attaches to the bottom pin on the right hand side of the relay, and the longer one attaches to the top pin. Now that this is done, you can reinstall your retaining clip. However, this is up to you. We choose not to install them, so I'm not going to show replacing it. Next, we have to put our component cover back on. To do this, we just place it over its location on the compressor. Oh, little butterfingers, I guess. Place it on the compressor, and then firmly press in. You'll hear it click once it's in place. With that done, we can reconnect our freezer to power, and after a 2-minute delay, our compressor should start. If both our thermostat and capacitors are okay, we move on to diagnosing a thermostat failure. Looking at our display, we can see that it says that the compressor is running because the light at the top of it is on solid. But if it's not running, this means we may have a problem with our thermostat. By touching the compressor, we can affirm that it's not working. Again, we disconnect the freezer from power so it's safe. In this next portion, I'll show you how to test the thermostat to make sure that our compressor isn't bad. Using a Phillips head, we're going to take the thermostat cover free. Remove the 2 screws located at the bottom of the cover. With the screws removed, pull out on the bottom of the cover and down to free it up. Now we're going to remove the wire protector. To do this, just grab it and slide it backward. With that done, you can see we have all of our exposed wiring for our thermostat. In order to test our thermostat, we're going to do what's called jumping it. To do this, we're going to come in here and remove the red and black jumper wire from the back of the thermostat. These are terminals 4 and 5 on your thermostat. In order to take them loose, we have to turn the 2 screws that retain our wires located here. Using our small screwdriver, we just loosen them. Be sure not to take the screws all the way out, however, as they're very difficult to put back in. Now that these 2 wires are loosened, we can pull them out of our thermostat. Now, using a wire nut, some tape, or an alligator clip, we're going to bind them together. In this video, I'm using a wire nut. Place the wires together and then secure it so that way no one can obtain a shock. Shown here is the compressor starting as soon as the freezer is connected to power. If you don't hear the compressor start, Place your hand on it and you'll be able to feel it vibrating. Now we can take a look at what comes in an XR20 replacement kit that you'll receive from our Equipment Services department. The first thing you'll see when you open it is a list of detailed instructions. Keep these as a reference. Also inside is a new probe, which you may or may not need to use. The new thermostat itself, and it will also come with this clear adapter gasket, which we'll get into later. A waterproof sleeve, three zip ties, two retaining clips, and four small spade connectors. The next thing we'll need to do is remove the zip tie from the thermostat. Simply cut it with a pair of wire cutters like I used here and remove it from the thermostat itself. You can also use a razor knife, a pair of scissors, or any tool really. Next, we're going to remove the rest of the wires using our same small screwdriver as before. The terminals we'll be removing at this step are terminals 7, 8, 11, and 12. We can also remove our wire nut from before since we're done with it. Once all the screws are loose, some of the wires may be hard to pull, so use a pair of needle nose pliers to pinch the base of the wires, and then you can gently pry down and release the wire from the thermostat. Now that the thermostat is removed from the freezer, it's time to take it out of the cover. Yours may have the screws in the front that hold on this small protective glass. If it doesn't, you may skip this step. But to remove it, you simply take out the two screws located inside of it, and then take the screws and the glass completely off of the cover. Next, we're going to remove the retaining clips. To do this, we depress down on the half moon shaped portion of the clip located toward the front and pull back. Upon further inspection of our old thermostat, if you look, you can see there's actually a hole melted in the bottom. You may also see this rippling without a hole. This also shows that you have a bad thermostat. Next, we're going to install our new thermostat into our thermostat cover. To begin, we remove this small green block here. This is called the probe block. We'll get to it later. Next, we're going to take our clear gasket that came with our kit. If you look at it, you'll notice that there is a wide side and a narrow side. This narrow side goes toward the top. So first, we're going to place our new thermostat into this gasket. Top of the thermostat is located toward the thinner side of the gasket. Next, we take this and we insert it into our cover. Using our new retaining clips, we slide them onto the back of the thermostat. Press them forward until you hear a click. Once that's done, your thermostat will be tightly located into it. And now we can put our probe block back in. This can be set aside for later until we're done wiring. If we look at our wires, first we're going to locate the red wire. It has a small soldered end, so we won't need to cut and strip it like we will the others to install the spades, as it'll fit right on. Using our wire cutter, we're going to cut the ends off of the remaining wires. We'll place the red one out of the way and focus only on the white and black wires. Cut on the base of the wire just to where the steel end is, leaving only clean wires in your cut. Do this to each set of wires. While cutting these, you'll notice you have this small little wire here. This is called a jumper wire. Save it, as we're going to need it later. Next, we're going to take our strippers and we're going to just strip a little bit off the end of each wire. We're also going to strip each end of our small jumper wire. Now it's time to start putting our spade terminals on our wires. To do this, you're going to need a pair of crimping pliers. We're going to take this first terminal that goes on by itself and place it on the red wire. Next, we're going to locate our thin black wire and also our jumper, and we're going to place those together as well. Twist them to keep them tight, and then just crimp another spade on. Once that's done, we're going to locate our fan wire. This is the double wire that has a split at the end. Upon examining this, if you look at the wires and feel them, you'll notice that there's one side that's smooth and one that's rough. If we find our rough side, this is the side that's the positive wire. The smooth is the neutral. So now we're going to attach this to our jumper. We're going to use our rough fan wire and our jumper, and we're going to attach them together. And now we're going to take our smooth fan wire and attach it to our white wire. With wiring done, we're now ready to connect our thermostat. On the back, you'll notice we have numbered terminals. The first terminal is going to be terminal 8, which is where our white and fan wire connect. Terminal 7 is our small black wire and our jumper. Terminal 5 is the red wire only. And finally, terminal 4 which is where the fan and jumper wire connect. Then, on our probe block, we're going to be using terminals 11 and 12, which are the two on the far left. It doesn't matter if you put the blue or brown wire in either terminal, as long as they're in the right ones. Taking our group of wires and our thermostat, we're going to start connecting them. Again, white and fan go to terminal 8, the thin black wire and our jumper wire go to terminal 7, our red wire only will go in terminal 5, then the other end of our jumper and our other fan wire will go in terminal 4. In order to attach our temperature probe, we're going to need our small screwdriver again. Again, it doesn't matter which color wire goes in which place, as long as it's in terminals 11 and 12, which are the two on the farthest left of the probe block. And with that, our new thermostat is installed. We didn't have to change our probe on this unit, so we can just set that aside since we didn't need it. Now we're going to secure all of our wires to the thermostat itself. We're going to take one of our long zip ties from our kit, and we're going to use that to secure the wires. Go over all of the wires except for the fan wire. Use the zip tie to pull the wires underneath of the thermostat. Once you have the zip tie started, place it about midway on the white retaining clips and pull it firmly. Trim off the excess length of the zip tie so that way it doesn't get caught in the fan motor. Now we're going to reinstall the wire cover on our thermostat. It fits a little more snugly than the old model because we have the probe block, but it does still fit. Just line it up and press it firmly onto the back of the thermostat. We can now reinstall our cover. To do this, place it into the hole, slide up and in. Replace the two screws at the bottom. And this install is complete. If your unit did not have the wire cover like we've installed on this one, we're going to have to install a waterproof sleeve. Simply take it and slide it over all of the wires. Once this is done, we hook all the terminals up the same way we did before. The white and fan wire go into terminal 8, our thin black and jumper go to terminal 7, the red wire by itself to terminal 5, and the other end of our jumper and our other fan wire go to terminal 4, with our probe wires going into 11 and 12 using the small screwdriver. With that done, we're going to take our sleeve, and if you'll notice there's a curve in it. This faces toward the bottom of the thermostat. Feed it up onto the corners of the thermostat, pulling it from either side until it slides up all the way flush with the thermostat cover. Next, we're going to need the 3 zip ties that come with our kit. If you'll notice, there's 2 long zip ties and 1 short zip tie. Right now, we're going to start with one of the longer ones. We take our zip tie and we place it around the entire base of the thermostat. If you feel under the sleeve, you can feel the retaining clips. Put the zip tie about midway on them and pull it tightly. Then trim off the excess to prevent it from getting caught in our fan motor. Next, using our short zip tie, we're going to pinch the bottom of the waterproof sleeve flat and fold the corners of it down, making a fold in the bottom. Take our short zip tie, wrap it around this fold, and then pull it very tight. And again, we'll trim off the excess. Finally, we take our last long zip tie. What we're going to do with this is insert it through the grill of our thermostat cover, just below the thermostat itself. You'll notice this little mark here. Make sure you don't put it through that slot, or the zip tie will be noticeable. We insert it from the inside through the slot in the thermostat cover. Coming back to the front, we put it through the same slot and back to the inside, leaving us something like this. Next, fold down the waterproof sleeve and place this zip tie around the bend. This one don't pull securely, just enough to make it bend at about 90 degrees. And again, we'll trim off the excess. Next, we're going to take our thermostat cover, place it in the hole, press up and in to secure it. Then we replace our 2 Phillips head screws at the bottom of the cover. We can now return our freezer to service. After 2 minutes, the compressor should start. The following are a few other things to just be wary of when looking for a problem with your freezer. Look for any broken or damaged wiring, including the thermostat harness and the Molex adapter wiring. Look out for damaged or burned components. This includes your fan and the relay we showed before. If none of these problems exist, you may have a bad compressor. Seek professional help to check this. Thank you very much for watching.